Stop my pain!
Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something.
As much as it's played for a joke here, Wesley is absolutely right. Let's be real, life is garbage. But instead of accepting that, we're always fed this lie that life is great. Some utopia where all your dreams are going to come true. That's why I hate modern advertisements. They're completely disingenuous. They present this perfect world where half the families are mixed race, humans have been perfected, and everyone's always smiling as long as they purchase our product. I don't really take issue with this in regard to advertisements for movies and video games because, they're creating a fantasy world separate from our own. If, say, there's an advertisement where Donkey Kong's having a good time chowing down on some bananas, they're not telling everyone life's all sunshine and rainbows.
Oh, these are pretty cool bananas.
Oh, sweet mother of Satan! But let's look at a random car commercial. Like, come on, nobody's that happy driving a Lincoln.
You're going 5 miles an hour.
Not bad for a Lincoln.
अच्छाई खाने के जरिए जब शेयर की जाती है, दिलों को पास लाती है.
Oh yeah, our Lord and Savior, Nestle. Then why are 90% of your water bottles filled with microplastics? No, I think most people understand this is a load of nonsense. They go about their day-to-day lives, and for most people, modernity plain sucks. I mean, this is the average American man. He's probably addicted to junk food, pornography, and social media. He's going to work for about 40 hours a week, with about a coin flip's chance that his job actually makes any meaningful contribution to the world at all. So that's great. Well, pretty good haircut, to be honest. I should probably get my haircut. He's got a better haircut than me. But yeah, he's got another coin flip's chance on top of that he comes home and it's totally alone. No wife, no kids waiting for him. So what's he gonna do? He's gonna have some frozen pre-made dinner and grab some McDonald's or something, some good old goy slop. And it's not like on the other end of the coin, he's even doing too much better. Even if he is married, there's a very good chance that his wife's been forced into the workforce by the crumbling economy. And that means that she and other women are progressively getting less and less happy from the job, home, work overload. And since happiness is the single most attractive trait in women, this makes him less interested in her, adding more stress to the marriage, which, by the way, this is something that shocked me when I looked it up. It only lasts on average about 8 years. 8 years, and then you lose half of your stuff and have to pay child support. And this is something I'm gonna steal from my old law teacher. Looking at those child support tables is just the best form of contraception in and of its own, man. It's a whole nother league. Like, this is designed to bury men worse than the Allies buried Germany with the Treaties of Versailles after World War I, man. It's bad. This is where you get things like the men going their own way movement from. Somehow, society got to such a point of decay that a lot of guys think they're better off dying without continuing the bloodline that their fathers kept going for thousands of years. Now, I'm not a MGTOW guy myself, as you might be able to tell. I think you do have something of a duty to get married and have kids. I don't think that's an absolute rule. Look at a guy like Jesus, of course, did not have kids, but he is the physical incarnation of God, right? I don't think that inherently you have to have kids, but I think the fact that so many people are just abandoning this all of a sudden, it's the sign of a dying society, really, because there's nothing more dangerous than a group of young men who feel like they've been deprived from the ability to reproduce. And this is something you could use to predict the society falling pretty well all throughout history, I'm sure. Because that's our most fundamental driving force. It's our sex drive. It's our drive to reproduce and continue our bloodline. The fact that that has been obstructed so much in modern society, that is extremely disturbing, and it's not sustainable whatsoever. You cannot have the rat race last forever, because young men are powerful as anything on this earth, and there's a lot of them that are really, really angry right now. I could continue to ramble on for a long, long time about all the different decadent elements of society, but I want to bring this all together to say, yeah, while life in modernity does suck, we need to actually do something about it. We need to move past the childish response that a lot of people will give of just drowning that suffering away with escapism and non-stop simulation. It doesn't matter what you do in your life, you're never going to achieve lasting happiness. Just think about that for a second. Stop trying to chase it like a monkey. Every time that you go in search of the next high, oh, if only I had this, my life would be perfect. You're just setting yourself up for disappointment, dude. Your brain physically is not wired to allow you to be in a lasting state of pure bliss. You will always seek more than you will be satisfied. There's no free joy. You can go and get buzzed up on your vice of choice. Drugs, alcohol, pornography, social media, it doesn't matter, man. Every time that you indulge in it, it's going to be less enjoyable, and you're going to suffer an equal and inverse amount of boredom and pain afterwards. It's not worth it. And this whole pleasure-seeking issue is really well exemplified in the book of Ecclesiastes written by King Solomon. It says, I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was the reward for all my toil. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. This was written by the little richest man in the world. Alright? Makes Elon Musk look like peanuts, bro. He had it made. He was the king of one of the most prosperous and influential nations in its day, and even he couldn't fill the void in his heart, despite having 1,000 combined wives and concubines. Take that, Coomers. Endless assortments of the finest alcohol, and hundreds of servants bent to his will. And if you think you can fill a void in your life by doing practically the exact same thing, just with the modern equivalent that you're fooling yourself with, saying it's different, of just this non-stop product consumption, gotta consume, you're dead wrong, dude. What, you think Solomon would have been happy if he could have indulged in the joys of G Fuel? I don't know, guys, update. Figure it out. He actually just thinks life is meaningless because my pillow hadn't been invented and he wasn't getting enough sleep. Actually, that one's not even a joke. Long live Mike Lindell. Seriously, man, we gotta take that aforementioned group of angry young men and get together. Just make Mike Lindell king, dude. That would be absolutely fantastic. I know a lot of people don't like that take, but it's just true. Mike Lindell, savior of the white race. No, kind of that bit. Optics, man. Optics. Alright, where am I? Right. You could consume everything there is to consume in the world, and you'd still be miserable. If you just want to live as a rat, go ahead, my friend. You can go and ruin every good thing left in your life by blasting your senses with entertainment till every natural reward leaves you feeling hollow. But I'll still be here once you inevitably tire of pleasure itself, the worst pain of all, and go looking for something meaningful. And I'll still be here when you ignore these words and keep living as a slave to your desires, and after that when you try but fail to apply them. And I know I may sound harsh, so let me make my intentions clear to you here. With all of that, I'm not trying to further motivate those of you on the path to improving yourselves. The purpose of this is to shock those of you who are stuck in a rut. That way you realize that your time is limited, and if you don't change anything in your life, you're going to ruin yourself. There's a limited amount of time you have to act. If you don't act now, when are you going to act? So I need to shock you into action. But this isn't going to work long term. Alright, you can't use this. This is essentially life support. You need to take any burst of energy that I'm able to give you and actually go do something with it. Put in the work. I don't care what it is, man. You know something, if you're a man, that you can do, okay? Something that's good for you. Go do it. The iron law of our bodies and minds is that the more work that we put in, the more energy that we get. It's simple as that. So just as doctors, right, they don't just keep shocking you and shocking you over and over. You gotta stop just watching, like, I don't know, a guy like Hamza, like, over and over and over. If you're familiar with Hamza, he's if you're unfamiliar with him, I should say, he's like a self-improvement guy, right? And he'll tell you in his videos, and I think this is some of the best advice anybody can ever give you, not to watch his videos. Not to watch them ever, is not what he's saying, but he's saying, you have to actually go, and once you've learned what to do, you have to go start implementing that. You cannot keep watching just self-improvement videos over and over. If there's something specific, alright, you're trying to learn a skill, go ahead, watch plenty of videos on that. But we're dealing with the basics here in this video to start. And you have to actually take the first steps on your own. You can't keep being resuscitated, my friend. So going back to what we were talking about earlier, knowing that you can't just live for pleasure, you need to ground your life's purpose in something. There's two great lies of the 21st century. The first is that the individual is supreme and that the collective doesn't matter. Second is that the collective is supreme and that the individual doesn't matter. Duh, yeah, I think it's pretty easy to tell. Both of these ideas are quite false. But there's a lot of extensions of both of these that pervade society. The individualists tell you to line your own pockets and do whatever makes you happy. Don't settle down and have a family. Go travel. I hate that one. I hate that one so much. They'll say, others' opinions are just dragging you down. What? Eating several thousand calories a day until you die at 35 is your life and your decision? Because we're here for a good time, not a long time, man. Or something like that. Something stupid. Like, oh, life is short, so don't exercise. Pretty easy to tell those ones are not built upon the best foundations. And, whatever they say, it's always going to be built on bad foundations. They don't have anything to justify even the pursuit of the individual. And the collectivists are just as bad. These are the over-socialized types. They'll reduce everybody into a soulless cog of a machine. And in a lot of ways, I'd say the sort of corporate collectivism we see nowadays is probably one of the most cancerous things I've ever heard of ever occurring at any point in history. It is far worse than individualism because it's all this drabble backed by a huge mass of idiots supporting the whole thing. And everything appeals in it, the lowest common denominator, the sacred general audiences. And the issue isn't so much with the collectivists that they think of the individual as being trivial compared to the greater. Like, on that front, they're not wrong. 107 billion people have lived before you, and even let's say you're a 1 in a million person, 1 in a million out of 107 billion is not too much, and your body's still gonna die, and your memory's still gonna fall into obscurity. At least until our boy comes back, let's go. But, while implicitly understanding this, the problem with the collectivists is that they ground themselves in the wrong things, fundamentally. They won't love art, but they'll love the marketplace of selling the art. They don't love the family, but they love the nanny state. They don't even love their nation itself, they just love the regime. They don't care to craft anything that's immaterial and beautiful that others might share in it. They're not going to sacrifice any great amount of time and effort to raise up an heir and continue the succession of immortality, handed down generation to generation. They don't care to defend their nation, which is, properly understood. A nation is just a plurality of families held together by contract. They hate all of these things, right? Because to actually make art, start a family, love your nation, and fight for these things, well, that's risky and that's difficult. And all that they want to do is just to pursue whatever gives them the most wealth and power, probably because they're severely lacking in one part of their life, one or another. This is why there's so many corrupt, 50-year-old, childless politicians. Nowhere else will accept them. And it's especially true regarding childless female politicians, because they've gone against their own nature, which is obviously much, much more tied to childbearing than for men. Probably make an upcoming video on that, foreshadowing. So it's coming to a theater near you. Subscribe if you'd like to keep living. Alright, man, that was pretty bad. I'm just reading off the script right now. I kid you not, it says, subscribe if you'd like to ... to keep living. Maniacal laughing. Bro, who writes this stuff? Now, it's somewhat outside the scope of this video to go in depth on precisely what you should ground yourself in, but I'll be satisfied just here, leaving it with this maxim. The closer something is to the natural order of things, the better it is to ground yourself in. These are things like the value of your nation, the legacy of your people, and if not God, I won't go, I have done sermons before. I can preach if you want to hear preaching, but I'll leave that for its own separate video. For here, I'll say if you don't believe in God, then one thing both of us can agree on is that you at least have the natural law of God in your heart. Maybe you're not calling it the natural law of God, but that's what it is, man. Them's the facts. It's just undisputable. So follow those as best you can, and you'll make it all right. So yeah, one of the most important things, if you actually want to live a satisfying life, is to gain control over yourself. I am so frustrated at this, man. So many people just spend their entire lives complaining and doing absolutely nothing about it. They'll say, "Oh, my job sucks. I hate getting up. My wife's nagging me." Dude, why don't you do something about it? Did you not apply to that job? Did you not stay up late using your phone to assault your sleep-wake cycle? Did you not know you were marrying a woman? The worst of these is definitely when people complain about people complaining. And I may be complaining about people complaining, but I can get away with it because I'm a Chad. What are you going to do, complain about it? There's this very insidious cycle that people go through when they're complaining. That's the main thing I'm really warning you to avoid. That's where people will just complain about something bad that happens in their life, and they won't do anything about it. And further than that, right, that happens once, fine, whatever, but gradually you'll end up with all this stuff that you have to fix in your life, and you'll just freeze, because fundamentally, people are lazy, and it's so easy to convince yourself that you'll just fix it later. You gotta wait for the right moment, get it done in the most efficient way possible in one big burst. That way it won't be as sucky, And this prevents you from cleaning up your life. So you'll just complain and imagine how things could get better, and that saps all your energy and more time passes, and things just stay the same. They get worse. So what do? You keep complaining. It's not good. The solution to this, by the way, is to actually gain control over yourself, and by proxy over your life. You have to accept that bettering yourself is going to take a long time. Good rule of thumb is usually about 12 weeks to turn the trajectory of your life around. And maybe a little bit less if you're younger, right? But even then, it's not going to be immediately rewarding no matter what you're doing. And as a human beholden unto your flesh, you're going to act in order to fulfill your needs. The way that we make decisions and motivate ourselves is we just measure, okay, what is this going to get me? And doing hard work, well, that takes a certain force of will in order to accomplish, and discipline in order to accomplish, because you're not going to instantly fulfill that by doing hard work. If you eat something nutritious, your body rewards you easy. Beat a boss in a video game, your body thinks you're competent and rewards you easy. These are much easier to motivate yourself to do than like filling out paperwork for your job. But what, are you gonna just let that sit there? Let the paperwork keep piling on? And then the stress builds and builds until trying to distract yourself no longer gives you enough of a reward, and only then do you do the work? No, that's miserable. The key to motivate yourself, I would say, is to build it up in small doses, just these good habits. So if you want to do yourself a favor, do some hard work that's not actually all that naturally rewarding, you should do it in a small dose, gradually building up over time until you're able to sort of tolerate the boringness of it, right? You can brush your teeth all day, or every day, sorry. You can use the bathroom every day. These are pretty monotonous things, and they don't really give you any particular pleasure, but you're able to do them just fine, because I don't even think it's really, you're thinking every time you brush your teeth, oh, if I don't brush my teeth, then people are going to look at me and think I'm hideous. So you just brush your teeth because it's a habit, bro. There's no thought involved. There's no willpower. That's the mindset you want to do. And so if you're like trying to go get fit, which is one of the best things you can do, by the way, absolutely make sure that your physical health is on track. Don't really focus on your mental health so much unless your body's in good shape already. The whole push for mental health without good physical health is just a load of nonsense. But again, that's kind of its own topic. But yeah, if you're trying to build up your ability to go get fit, don't go to the gym today for 4 hours, tire yourself out, go back like maybe tomorrow for 1 hour, and then not touch the gym for months. You gotta be gradual and consistent. Make it sustainable. Don't trust your body to do something it wasn't trained to do. If you want to get in shape, you need to cultivate the discipline, alright? I don't care if it takes you actually doing 5 minutes of push-ups a day. Just do it. I'm not joking. If you get the thought in your head as I say that, it's just 5 minutes. It doesn't matter much if I miss it. You're already losing, dude. You fall for that garbage, you don't do the workout, you're not going to convince yourself to do an hour a day or whatever your actual goal is. Keep an eye on the prize, alright? It's not just that I need to like list off the health benefits to working out to make you work out. Alright? I can list on the screen a bajillion benefits to physically getting in good shape. It's not about that though. It doesn't matter how many times I try to shock you into working out. That's not going to get a good habit built. You need to use your raw force of will in order to get things done. What did G.I. Joe tell us? That's right. Knowing is half the battle. Half. Can't just stay up until 12:37 a.m. watching self-improvement YouTube videos to get better. That's right, Liam. I live in your walls. You have to actually take that knowledge and build up the skill of controlling your mind. If you command your body, it will obey you. But if your mind is conflicted, you will wear yourself out in the battle. Do things decisively. Don't just think about things all day trying to figure out what the absolute optimal route to go is. In the words of the almighty Shia LaBeouf, just do it. It's not that hard. It's easy, actually. You just need to actually use your force of will instead of just thinking things through the whole time. Literally, just doing things that are irrational, I think helps. And that sounds a little bit strange, but I'll literally sometimes just to exercise my force of will, at like 3 a.m. I'll just get out of bed and then I'll do like 3 jumping jacks and then go back to bed. I don't know if that sounds kind of schizo mode, but if you're able to actually tell yourself to do things that don't make any sense to do, that's something that helps you up to build that force of will. And, you know, people say take like cold showers for health benefits. the reason why I personally will take cold showers, it's not to do with the health benefits. I don't really care about whatever health benefits it gives you. Maybe it's good for your hair or whatever. But the reason why you want to take a cold shower is that, like, when you're turning the knob to make it cold, you're exercising your force of will. And no matter how many times that you take a cold shower, it's gonna suck, dude. It sucks so much to turn that wheel and make it so cold and your body's just freezing. Because it goes against the natural rewards, right? And your body's like, no, what are you doing? So being able to, like, command your body and command your mind, most importantly, is so important. And you need to continually exercise that ability to control yourself. Think of it like a muscle. And this is where you get the cool kids telling you, delay gratification. And, you know, I agree with this statement. You should definitely delay gratification. But I want to be an intellectual, so I'm going to call it Spannungsbogen. Except, well, Frank Herbert kind of completely butchered the meaning of that word. This is not a very good definition of it. As I'm vaguely descended from the Germans, allow me to offer up a better word for you. Instead of telling your friends delay gratification, how do you read this word? Belohnungsaufschub. That one's gonna catch on. Trust me. Trust the plan. Don't be a plan not truster. Trust the plan, and all will come to fruition. Yeah. Belohnungsaufschub. Right. So yeah, save something naturally rewarding for you after you've done something uninteresting. If you gratify yourself immediately, everything's gonna be dull by comparison. There's a quote from Mark Twain that says, if you eat a live frog first thing in the morning, nothing will happen to you that's worse than the rest of your day. Now, Mark Twain lived before jelly bean existed.
Alright guys, so today we're going to be trying out to lab challenge jelly bean.
2 hours later.
I smell really good. Thank you.
The Chads might be getting up at 6 a.m. every day and going to the gym, but they've got nothing on me and the Giga Chads as we get up at 5:30 a.m. every day and force feed ourselves live octopus. Let's go! But a lot of guys will start the day by lying in their bed and going on their phone. If you win the morning, you win the day, but it's extremely difficult to push back against the inertia once you've already wasted a quarter of your day just lying in bed, literally doing nothing, not even actually having fun. This is why Marcus Aurelius, one of Rome's 5 good emperors, said this in his book, The Meditations. You should definitely read that, by the way. It's really, really good. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, what do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. But it's nicer here. So you were born to feel nice, instead of doing things and experiencing them. But we have to sleep sometime. Agreed, but nature set a limit on that, and you're over the limit. That's such a good line. I love Marcus Aurelius, man. So yeah, while on meme about getting up at 5 a.m. and such, there is a lot of truth to it. You can't overstate just how valuable it is to win the first battle of the day by getting out of bed as soon as you wake up. The way that you lose to your flesh is that you repeatedly give up very small, seemingly trivial battles. No, I'm not going to get straight out of bed. I've got to warm up before I leave because my room is cold. Let me just stay here for 5 seconds. Okay, well, 5 seconds have passed and I'm still not warm. Better grab my phone and start scrolling through social media until I'm warm. and now I've warmed up just fine, but I have to keep scrolling through my YouTube suggestions until I find something to watch as I get out of bed. And before you know it, you've completely set yourself off on the wrong foot, and you're conditioning yourself to act in accordance with what your flesh wants, not what you, the mind, actually want to do. The way to combat this is to win these extremely minor battles, and watch as the larger battles, they're a cakewalk. You wake up and it's cold, throw a blanket on yourself as it's cold. Get out of bed, it's easy, bro. Just throw on some socks and warm clothes, 2 layers if you have to. Whatever you need to do. If you have slippers or a house coat, use those. Sure, it's not hard. It's really not. Can't find something interesting to watch? You're probably addicted to your phone anyways. Just chill out. Turn that thing to grayscale and the addiction will be dead. Now, I don't want to leave it at that, actually. I want to emphasize that point. All my homies using grayscale on the phone. Man, Nathaniel Abbott talked about that in his YouTube video. I thought it was the stupidest thing I'd heard in my life. And I was like, no, I'll try it. Best thing I've ever done. The easiest change for the highest results you'll ever have in your life. Because all the colors just constantly bombarding your eyes, that's what makes your phone so addictive. And you cut that off and bam, your phone's no longer this great big pool of wasted time. And it's so good to just actually relax by playing video games or reading something, watching a movie. Going on your phone's just such a waste of time, man. There's nothing you're getting out of it. You're never going to do anything productive on your phone, okay? Maybe you go once every year and you have something written on it, like a Google Doc on your phone, maybe. That's not what you're going on your phone for the most part, though. 99% of the time, you're just wasting time. And I call it a waste of time because I think you can get some value out of other forms of relaxation, but going on your phone just takes out a little part of your soul. So use grayscale mode, and your life within 20 days will be perfect. Money back guarantee. So yeah, going back to what I was talking about before, the same sort of principle for getting out of bed applies to everything in your life, really. I just brought up getting out of bed because it's a universal example. Say you have to work on an essay or an email and you're procrastinating on it. Just open up the tab that you're going to write it on. And if you let it sit there for a second, go ahead and tell yourself you'll just work on it for 20 minutes. And the inertia of that small victory will do all the heavy lifting for you. Getting stuff done, you have to realize, it's not hard. It's not even painful. Unless you're extremely overstimulated by your phone or something, it's not hard whatsoever. You're just imagining that it is. And that's what makes it suck, actually getting work done, is your imagination. So turn that off best you can, get a little bit of inertia rolling, and you're good to go. Remember, your mind, your force of will, is a muscle. Average person works for about 1,700 a year. Meanwhile, this lady over here volunteered for 77,000 hours at some hospital over 53 years, equating to about 6 hours a day. This is the mental equivalent of Arnold Schwarzenegger's physical lifts, and much like you can't just start off benching 500 pounds, unless you're cracked or something, you gotta train your force of will every day to do good work, and gradually, you'll gain control over your flesh. So remember, life may be balls, but so are you until you join me and the boys at 5:30 a.m. for that fresh octopus. And them's the facts.